Start recording, please. Okay, it's 4:02 and I will call the meeting to order. Do we have a quorum?
Yes, we do.
6. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Want to do a quick roll call?
Yeah, we better. I'm here. Mary.
I'm here.
Lee.
I here.
Marcia.
Here.
Mickey.
Here.
Marianne. Marianne.
She's
muted.
muted.
I'm
No, she's
muted.
not.
Sorry, I'm here.
Yeah, okay.
I'm just coughing so much that I don't want you to hear me.
Okay.
So we're just missing
So-
Jen and Allison, I think.
Yes.
Okay, just in formality, I'm looking at the list of participants, 6 people. I see thumbnails of 6 people.
Correct. So we're missing Allison and Reagan.
All right, Henry, do you want me to do a quick spiel?
Please.
All right, so this open meeting of the Town Area Plan Workgroup is convening by video conference pursuant to Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021 is extended on July 16th, 2022. This meeting is being recorded and all participants are here remotely via Zoom as posted on the town's website identifying how the public may join. Let's see. This meeting will feature public comment if anyone is present for that. And Henry, I guess we've done the roll call already, so just each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by roll call vote. Back to you.
Okay. Agenda. Any changes? Additions? Okay, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Opposed? Motion carries. Approval of the draft minutes from August 2nd. Any discussion, changes? None. Okay, good. Motion to approve.
So moved?
Mary, second.
Second.
Mary Ann. Okay, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Opposed? Very good. Okay. Mary, do you want to discuss the questionnaire?
Yeah, I have some updates to offer on that. So it has been sent to the Plus department. We did get some feedback with just a couple wording suggestions. And mostly in question 1. Let me see if I can bring that up. I don't have it on my screen. So I was able to just remove some words from question 1, which was asking, have you ever rented your house out? And they suggested eliminating the word subdivision in a response that was inappropriate because the response did not actually involve subdivision. So that was an easy fix. And eliminating the word worker and just leaving it open. So if, for instance, have you ever rented a room in your house to a worker, I think was our response. And they just said, leave out worker, and it's better that way. And so that was an easy fix as well. I also asked if there were some standard demographic questions that we could attach because we didn't address that within our committees. We were focused on the content for the various parts of the area plan. And we looked at the survey that went out with the Sconset area plan and the survey that went out with the Monomoy area plan and found a couple of basic demographic questions. How old are you? How many in your household? And are you a year-round resident? And so if there are no objections, I'll append those questions and a few responses as choices to the survey. Andrew,
Mary, could you repeat those? I've got age and are you a year-round resident? There was a third.
number of people in the household.
Gotcha.
Andrew has been on vacation, and so in terms of spending money and authorizing staff time to work on this, that has not been done yet. He's back on Monday, so I will follow up with him and we'll see if we can keep moving forward on this. Megan did get a list of addresses from the town's GIS system of all the people who are within the area covered by the plan. So we have that. And the assumption is that we would use, I think it's the same procedure that was used for the pool and spa survey where we, Henry, correct me if I'm wrong, you mailed a postcard out with a link to the survey. And so people would then go online to take the survey. And that way it would be easy to collect the responses.
Correct.
So that's the assumption that that's how we'll do it. Let's see what else. I think in the minutes, there might have been mention of one question that we voted to insert and I did not insert. Let me get back to. So I'm just looking through the minutes. Oh, maybe I'm just remembering wrong. I'll double check, but oh, I'm cross wires, sorry.
Yep. Are they gonna go through the names and addresses? Is plus or are we?
Well, we don't know yet because Andrew's been on vacation, what he will authorize the Plus department to do.
Okay,
So that's TBD.
yeah, it's gotta get trimmed down. There's a lot of town addresses in there and I don't think we need to send the town a questionnaire.
Oh, I see what you mean. So,
They went by addresses, like St. Paul's Church has 2. They don't need an address. The town in Nantucket has, I don't know how many properties.
okay, I'll take a look. I haven't looked at the actual list, but
Yeah, I skimmed through it.
oh, you did, great.
But yeah, that could be whittled down. All right, I guess we won't know anything till Monday. Was
I
it
would just
Leslie that said
I
maybe
just
trim
like-
it down, the size? She had a comment.
Of the survey, well, again, I looked at the Monomoy and the Sconset area plan surveys. Sconset had 60 questions. Monomoy had, plenty of questions. I took that as more of a general comment and not a direction. We need to
Okay.
ask the questions we need to ask.
Yeah,
Henry,
Monomoy had quite the plan. There was no mention of the space station.
yeah, Henry, I'd just like to comment on that. That
Go ahead.
report was so over the top. Are we going to have?
So it's my assumption, I don't have any facts to base this on. I know that the Monomoy Civic Association worked with a consultant. So it's my assumption that they paid the consultant to produce that quality of plan with all the pictures and, the formatting and it's quite gorgeous.
And 100 pages.
Yeah. And then 25 megabytes, yes. So I don't think we have a requirement to hire a consultant to produce that, nor do we have a requirement to try and attempt that ourselves. I think if again, I'm remembering the Sconset area plan was more of a Word doc. So, it's whatever we can produce. I think it's fine. And Plus might be able to offer some formatting assistance. I'm not sure. The other thing I want to mention, the document, the Monomoy area plan, that is a draft. And so that will be on the NPNEDC agenda for discussion Monday night, next Monday, the 22nd. And that is not, it's my understanding that's not going to be adopted Monday, the 22nd. It's being submitted as a first look. And it's being submitted for comment and so on. So that's the initial story. I don't know what will happen to it after this, but don't consider that a final document.
Do you feel that they'll whittle it down from what it is?
I don't know. I mean, there are, 11 people on NPNEDC plus the Plus department. So there can be a lot of voices potentially looking at it. One of the reasons I wanted to share it is it's their first plan, just like this is the first plan for the town area. The Sconset plan was simply an update, and so that was a different kind of exercise.
Is it a public meeting?
NPNEDC, yes.
That's Monday. Could you send?
Monday,
me?
5 o'clock Zoom. You can get it from Megan Trudell in the Plus department for sure. I'm again I haven't looked at the agenda in depth to know if the link is on there,
Okay,
but yes, it's a public meeting.
okay, thank you.
Henry, I'd just like to thank Mary for all the work that you did on this. I mean, I know those things are a lot of work, so kudos to you and many thanks.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes,
Thank you.
yes, thanks, totally.
Okay, this is gonna be a short meeting, I guess. Has anybody got anything they want to discuss?
Well, do we have a deadline or kind of a structure? Because, yeah, somehow I feel like that work got underway many months ago, but I just feel like I never really completed the portion that I was working with Liz with. And yeah, I just wonder what we're aiming for completion.
I'm hoping before the end of the year, but we'll see what happens. We still have to get through the questionnaire, and then from there, we can start.
Oh.
But you're right, we've been doing this for years.
So following right along, Mary Longacre, if you can use whatever influence to get something into the mail. I was going to say before Labor Day, but I'm not even sure we can do that, but as soon as possible.
That's already been my request to the Plus department, that we really wanted the survey out in August if we could get that. Of course, August is a vacation month for many town employees. So
I guess I have a question for those that have taken the time, have had the time to review some of these other plans, and whether you feel there are areas that suggest that we look at something in a different way, or something that we haven't included, or something they did really, really well. I just ask, because I have not had the time to really spend reviewing them, but I think it's an excellent way to get a sense of just perspective on where we are.
one of the things I noticed in the Monomoy plan is they devoted quite a bit of space to the history of Monomoy, the sort of town environment that we're operating under, what is Nantucket? And I'm again guessing that that's probably coming from the consultant's perspective, that the consultants aren't really familiar with Nantucket, so they wrote it because they don't know. And they assumed that other people would need that as well. It's sort of my feeling that we don't need to explain in the town area plan the history of Nantucket. There certainly might be some mention of it where it's appropriate, but I don't think we need a couple of pages worth of background information because the town area is so central to Nantucket as a whole. It didn't seem to me to be something that we needed to spend our time trying to write and illustrate.
It might be worth noting a couple of high points, like the relocation of, from Sherburne over to the Great Harbor, those kinds of historic highlights. But I don't think we need to go into the depth that they did in Monomoy.
I mean, I think it makes me think about even if in a general sense, we could give a bit of a summary about, we all had difficulties with the map and what is in our town and what isn't in our area. And some kind of reference to how is that determined and how does that relate to the history? I don't mean an extensive thing, but, we've all heard the stories about how Moore's End was the end of the town. Just kind of like a sense of how how has this area been defined? And, you know, the big fact that it doesn't include the commercial downtown, but, you know, what is our area? I think, you know, because I struggled with it, and I know we all, you know, you, Mary, worked on a number of those maps. We all struggled over them. And, you know, something like that would just kind of give people a sense of what area are we talking about? Because, you know, a number of the survey questions, we kept trying to make sure that people understood, you know, that we were talking about this specific area. And everybody, I think, has a different reference to where is the edge. You know, talk about New Guinea or, you know, anyway.
I think that's a great idea. Marcia, do you want to take a stab at writing it?
I knew you were going to land that back at me, you know. I mean, I think I would probably, you know, trying to pull in some, you know, my good friend Betsy Tyler, you know, some people who really might have their hands immediately upon, you know, because they are generalities. Even today, working as I have on the Museum of African American History, we don't really even know the boundaries where New Guinea was. And so I think to either make the kind of, yes, I mean, the short answer is, you know, I mean, I just feel it is important to set the stage. And I love the fact that you noted that about the Monomoy group, that they did, however it was done, they did set the stage for what is Monomoy. And, you know, what is the downtown? I mean, I just figure it's the most important thing on the island, you know, I think that's a good idea.
Mhm.
Welcome any, you know, input from any and everybody, you know, as to what you could pull up to put together. And again, I don't mean I mean, even a couple of graphics would be really kind of fun from some of the old, you know, the 1881 bird's eye map, you know, that really shows you what the downtown was.
I think those are all really excellent and valuable points, and it gets us started in actually writing the plan, which is nice. It's hard sometimes to go from a list to a narrative, but I think starting with that kind of, you know, setting the stage for, you know, what is this area and how did it become what it is? I think that's a great way to get the ball rolling. But you also mentioned having other people contribute, and so let me just, you know, emphasize that it doesn't have to be just us. You know? We could certainly ask other people to contribute to this. You know,
Yes.
means.
Yeah, good. Thank you. No, I would definitely do an outreach because, yeah. Okay, thank you.
One of the things I really liked about the Monomoy plan is the bullet points of recommendations up front before you even get to the narrative and all of the details. So that if you don't want to read the whole report, you can get a sense of the recommendations that this group is making. I'd like to copy that.
Yeah, that's good. I like that too.
And if anybody has other suggestions for photographs and illustrations, that's something we can start thinking about as well.
Yes, I would definitely think that would be a really, really good thing to have in to really show the issues, the points that we're talking about.
Marcia, Mary Bergman at the Nantucket Preservation Trust might have some good materials or advice for how to set the stage on the area that we're talking about.
Okay.
Mhm.
So did you find in the Monomoy report, or did you find anything that seemed kind of not outrageous, but really different? Or that, you know, that would begin to change the direction? I mean, I just know when we all started out, we were feeling that really that what we were doing maybe not, may not amount to a heck of a lot of change. And so I just wonder whether they, addressed some real current issues in a different way.
Well, the Monomoy neighbors seem to not want a lot of change either. But one of the things that I found surprising was that, at least for the people who are participating, they wanted to make a commitment to becoming a net zero community. So that, Mickey, you might have a better definition of net zero than I do, but essentially that the energy that they consume is balanced by the energy that they generate. And however you get there, either by consuming less or producing more. That was a very forward thinking step, well beyond what the island has discussed. And it was very interesting to see a neighborhood sort of step forward and say, we'll go first.
Mm. Yes.
I mean, an analog, and I'm not suggesting this, I'm just by way of example. If we were to say, let's ban cars within this area, that would be an analog for a step that has not been contemplated by town government, but
Mary, not since 1918.
yeah. Good point, Lee. Good point. Precedent.
Yes, good. Oh.
That's valuable stuff, although when we start talking about energy, given that it all comes on these two cables, electrical energy, and I think that's an area for the entire master plan. Well, we might give them an indication that it's something we talked about.
And it doesn't hurt to review any of the other area plans, especially for adjacent areas like Brant Point or Mid-Island, to see what issues they've addressed and what goals might be expressed, and whether or not our plan should adopt and support some of those goals. Perhaps there are things we haven't thought about. That's another thing that we can do for homework.
Yeah. Yes. Well, I know that it's a new issue this week, but I feel that somewhere in our plan, when we're working with historic preservation of the historic structures, that it's definitely, I don't think anyone really knows where it's going to go, but the elimination of all the advisory boards is a really strong impact on everything that we're writing for this area plan. Because if we don't
But
have,
Marcia, the select board is already talking about having a discussion in September about bringing those boards back.
oh, good, yeah, I didn't hear that.
Yeah, that was Matt Fee's recommendation at the recent select board meeting, at the very end of the meeting.
Okay, well, thank you. That's good to hear. Definitely good to hear. I think that I understood from a historian friend that those boards date to like a total of 47 years on the island, like from 1975, the first one was instituted. And so there are many, many years of history with those, and they're such a critical part. I mean, unless you have a paid support staff for the HDC for these different areas, the dependence has been for the volunteer boards. So that's good to hear, Marianne.
Apparently, legally, they've been illegally reporting directly to the HDC. And the lawyer, John DiGiorgio, said that they would have to report to the select board and be under the auspices of the select board directly. So that is the only way they could be brought back.
You know, it's just curious because those boards have never taken any power. They're advisory.
Right.
They're advisory and nothing, everything goes to the HDC and all the decisions are made by HDC. So,
Marcia, technically you're correct, but I have been part of submissions to the advisory board. It was fairly clear that without their consent, anything that we put forward would be killed. So that in effect, they were operating as if they were autonomous.
well,
We agree that they weren't.
Lee, I've got to say something about that because I'm on the Historic Structures Advisory Board. And I, not that I really wish that were true, but it's really far from the truth because we really do just make recommendations.
Mickey, I was before the sign advisory board for
They're a little different.
Military Commission Stones, and they were telling us what we had to do.
They are a little bit different than the other advisory boards in that respect. I'm not sure the HTC spends a lot of time reviewing their recommendations, but they do review all the other house, changes. from
Right.
the other boards.
well, I know that, I mean, I've been on the sign advisory, I've been on the, many of the different advisory boards as well as the HDC. And I know that even, I mean, what you say, Lee, I mean, could be totally valid to when you're sitting at a meeting, but everything has to go before the HDC, whether it's signs or houses, whatever it is, and it has to be voted upon. That the sign people make none of those final decisions. It's all in the minutes for every single sign that would have any kind of action taken on it is done. And so if somebody misrepresents their work or makes you believe, because many times I've been on these boards and the HTC can completely ignore the recommendation. And I'm sure Mickey could attest to that.
Happens every day.
Every day. Right, yeah.
Mhm. Unfortunately, from our perspective.
Yeah, right. Well,
And
sorry, I know it's controversial and I know it's something, but I had to bring it up because it's so important for the district, the area that we're working on.
I plan to continue doing it anyway and just writing in my own personal comments. I think they'll read them just as they have read HSAF's comments before. But
Good.
I'm going to keep trying in the meantime.
I know I definitely had a friend who said that, you could make it, I mean, like whenever I've gone to a Conservation Commission meeting and there are representatives from interested parties like the Land Council, and they always go to the meetings, they always review, but they're outside, they don't have any jurisdiction, but they always offer their feedback. And I think if Mickey does that, if anybody continues to do that, I think it's great, really. Or if NPT were to do that, just as another body.
Mhm. Yeah, we're working on that. I mean, in the meantime, hopefully it'll get back to being a town sanctioned advisory group. But in the meantime, that could be a while. So
It
we don't
could
wanna-
be, yeah, and I would see, Mary Ann, with what you're saying, that it would have to be under, because the curious thing to me is the structure of the HDC and its legal legislation, which my understanding, I can be wrong, is that it's on its own. It doesn't come under the authority of a town manager or the planning director. It's its own. But it certainly requires support staff from the town.
Well, the lawyer weighed in on the subject, and it's Matt Fee who asked to have it put on the agenda for a September meeting. So I think we could count on that.
Yeah, good, good.
Anything else? Okay, I have 4:33.
I don't see anyone for public comment, so
So could you tell me before we sign off what we should aim or be thinking of for the next meeting? Besides the fact of, what I've just suggested and have on my list now.
Well, we should know about the questionnaire.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm hopeful that we can start digesting material from the questionnaire and seeing whether or not it leads to some draft statements.
Would be nice.
so our next meeting is Tuesday, September 6th. So we've got a couple weeks between now and then. That would be the day after Labor Day, just in case anybody's planning on leaving for the long weekend.
I'm probably not going to be available that day. I'll be traveling.
All right. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Mary, is there a second?
Second.
Mary Ann.
Okay, thank you, everyone.
thanks.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.